Hello, everybody. You are watching Kickstarter Pause, brought to you by the Indie Advocates Network and part of the On-Con experience. Today, we're going to have with us a brand new contestant to this show, but he has been on our previous show, the Crowdfunding Report, and we're excited to have him with us today. Go ahead and tell him who you are.
Hey there, I'm Connor Bartel. I'm a comic book writer. I have funded my work on Kickstarter, and my main artist partner is Adagun Ilhan, and we have a new Kickstarter coming up on July 1st called Swords and Silence. It's a sequel to a one-shot we did, kind of like Samurai Jack meets John Wick. That's how I like to describe it. And yeah, really excited, and I'm excited to see some Kickstarter videos and see what we can learn about them today.
And where can they follow you?
You can follow me at Connor_Bartel on Instagram and Twitter. And you can just Google Connor Bartel and you'll find my Kickstarter page and maybe some of my other work.
Very cool. We look forward to it. And of course, we're going to have it on our show. And for those who don't know, Connor and me are part of the Advocator alumni.
Yeah.
We've been part of the Advocator. So Connor knows what's going on. Go ahead.
I'm going to get a charger ready for this.
Oh, that's probably a good idea. This show will be a little bit. So while Connor does that, I'm going to explain to the viewing audience exactly what we're doing here today. If this is your first time, this is Kickstarter Pause. But what is Kickstarter Pause? That's a great question. What Kickstarter Pause is, it's a show where a guest, our contestant Connor, sits down to watch all the crowdfunding videos we are advocating for and hits pause on the video when his interest in this case is lost in the video. This is a fun way to teach fellow creators about attention spans and how as a consumer, because right now Connor's not a creator, he's a consumer, and you're trying to win him over. So really the contestant, the Kickstarters more than him. He's our guest. But he's going to tell us why he actually stopped it and what made him go, okay, I've lost my interest in this. If you have a crowdfunding campaign or want to be a guest, just reach out to us, and you too could be a guest or a contestant on the show. All right, Connor, you all ready to go?
All right, yes.
All right, so let's see if everything goes right. This is Burlap, and we only have a little bit of time to go. So because it's just me and you today, when you want something to pause, just say pause out loud, and we'll pause and talk about why you lost your interest. And here we go.
Hello, everyone.
Let me turn that up.
And I'm the writer and creator of Burlap. Welcome to the Kickstarter. I have recently teamed up with Covenant Comics to bring Burlap to your door.
Pause.
We need your help.
All right.
We're 23 seconds in, and he just started talking about it. I think that it could do without the fade out intro with the logo. Just like we're not trying to make a professional production here. Just trying to keep it nice and simple and as quick to the point as possible. I can see it's already 4 minutes and 30 seconds, and I can probably tell where some of that fat could have been cut.
Yeah, and it does have 8 hours to go. It's made $7,000. So you got
nice.
Free to check it out. But I've got to agree with Connor, and I've said this because we've had this on for the last few weeks. I don't like long intros. Connor's right. This is a Kickstarter video. This isn't a trailer for something where you have me stuck. This is a place where I can now turn it off and be turned off by it. So we're going to move on to the next one. This is Ninja Bear Volume 1. This is an 80-page collection brought to us by someone, we don't know who, because they just randomly left it on one of our pages, a friend of a friend, and they never tagged them. We're covering it. So here's Ninja Bear Volume 1. Come on. There we go.
Ninja Bear tells the story of a little bear trained as a warrior on a journey to face the evil Black Mage and uncover what happened to his mentor. In his journey, he discovers marvelous places, meets strange people, battles terrifying monsters, and sometimes manages to save the day. Inspired by folklore and mythology from around the world, as well as video games and cartoons, this series is packed with action, adventure, and comedy. Red Stylo Media is collecting 4 years' worth of Ninja Bear into one 80-page full-color volume. This collection will feature all the Ninja Bear comics so far, some of which that have never been printed before. Behind the pencil archives and fun activity pages, including a how to draw Ninja Bear tutorial. We are also offering lots of great Ninja Bear bonus merchandise exclusive to this campaign, including window plates, a print poster, and a special Ninja Bear standee. Red Stylo Media is excited to share Ninja Bear's journey with you, so please pledge and share. We thank you for your support.
All right, you made it through. Talk to us about it. What'd you think?
I think it's actually pretty great. I think usually there comes a risk when adding animation into a video about a comic because it could like confuse people on what it actually is, but I don't think that happened here. I know I said something about long intros before, and that did have kind of an intro, but at least it immediately caught me, and it wasn't a logo fading out, you know?
Yeah,
And,
I was wondering. I saw the long intro, and I was like, "Oh, is Connor going to do it 2 in a row?"
but the thing is like, yeah, it caught me right away, and so it did have a good advantage there. I think it could use a little bit more of a personality from the creators, because I feel like a lot of people on Kickstarter like backing creators and not like a conglomerate company or anything. And this has a very nice production value, and so the lack of a creator in it kind of makes me feel like, why do they need my help?
Now, Sarah is in our chat room, and she said that the music cracks her up. Did the music kind of win you over? Because I kind of saw you nod your head a little bit, like you were kind of having fun with it.
Yeah, I was having fun with it. I did enjoy the music, and I thought it fit well with the theme. I think one of the things that made the music work is that it didn't take focus away from the actual words. Some of the actual talking in it about it, the narration. One of my first Kickstarters, people told me my music drowned out my words a little bit, not like a bunch, but it made it kind of like hard to hear, and you're trying to make it as easy as possible for the viewers. So, but yeah, I think that worked well. I do think they needed to put a little bit of the creator in there, even if it was just like created by whoever, and there's this smiling mug of an image, but that would have worked. But yeah, I think they need a little bit of creator, because right now I'm like, they had a really nice video, even an animation. Their name isn't on it. It's Red Stylo Media. I mean, I like the book, but maybe I'll just wait until it's out on Amazon. You know what I mean? That's the kind of thing I feel when there's no like creator presence.
So you need that. You need that little bit of like introduce yourself. Now, would this, let's ask the question, would this have made you read the rest of the Kickstarter? Like, it's on my site,
Yes.
right, at indieadvocates.com. You go to the crowdfunding thing. There's the link. Would you have clicked that link?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would have.
And I wonder, you know, I'm going to tell you something that don't tell anyone else, okay? This is between me and you. My next Kickstarter, I'm actually going to make an multimedia interactive thing where I'm going to have a free PDF download hosted on one of my sites, and I'm going to have videos explaining everything. So we'll have a video for rewards, we'll have a video for the story behind it, and we'll have the promo video on top. And even Chuck's going to do a video about something, and even the risks. And we're just going to have basically videos and images and as little writing as we can possibly get away with, because I really want to experiment with videos. But I think breaking it up is definitely the way, because I want people to know that I'm behind the project, right?
I think that's a good idea, and I'm interested to see how that turns out. I don't think you should take away some of the text. I mean, I hope there's still like maybe not
There's gonna be.
maybe not like verbatim transcripts, but good transcripts so that I don't have to watch the video if I don't want. I personally, it's easier for me to read 2 or 3 paragraphs than to click play on a video.
Well, I think that's what it'll be. What the wording is,
And it's different for everyone.
But no, the wording will be just what needs to be said.
Okay.
Just pure fact. This is factual. This is it. You know, while the Kickstarter video will allow me to, you know, not embellish, but over explain a bit. You know what I mean? Like really to the meat of it. So when you're reading it, it'll sound, okay, this is factual. There's the video for all the passion and all the energy, you know? So the pitch is in the video, the information's below the video. And
Perfect.
I think that's how we're gonna try to check it out, and we'll see what happens. But we don't have anything for Danny and Harry, private detectives. They don't have a video. Do you think that's a mistake not having a video in this day and age?
I do think it's a mistake. I think that on Kickstarter and Indiegogo, I think it's okay if the video is simply you standing in front of your bookshelf, like I do, you know, saying what happened, maybe throwing up a few images. It doesn't have to take all day. It only has to, even a 30-second video. The statistics speak for themselves. What is it like? Having a video increases your chances of success by 70% or something like, or a bit, something like that. Like
It is
to
insane.
me, to me, it's like, why didn't you put in the effort?
And we had someone on the show, Madeline Holly Rosing, who actually writes a book about the actual kickstarting environment. And she said that it literally is this: if you don't have it, you're not paying admission. If someone doesn't see that video, they're going to think you didn't put the energy and effort into it. And I mean, just for our show right now, you guys got a sneak peek of what's to come. So I hit the wrong button, but without having a video, people might be like, this guy didn't, or girl didn't put in the effort they were supposed to. So
and on the idea of paying admission, I also feel like it's important you have a decent backing number, as in like a decent number of campaigns you've backed. If you're not putting in the admission as in backing other campaigns to show that like you're really part of this community, I kind of feel like it's not as important as a video, especially because like how many people actually look at the Kickstarter profile to look at that number. But it also makes me feel like, oh, did you do research on Kickstarter, like by actually being part of it? You know what I mean?
I definitely hear you on that. And sometimes you do need to look at what your peers are doing. And this guy, I give him credit. He had a video and Madeline gave him some advice and he went out and got himself a voice actor. Are you ready to see Hybrids, the Sons of Gods?
Yes, but I'm already going to say, I feel like unless he's going for like a $30,000 campaign or like even like maybe $15,000 campaign, how worth it was that voice actor? We're going to find out though.
I heard the voice actor worked for free.
Oh, never mind.
Liked Luke.
Oh, cool. Perfect. Never mind.
Hybrids, the Sons of Gods, Trash Day is an action-adventure hero story about the advent of a new superhuman species. The story includes theories surrounding the Nephilim and ancient aliens set against a fast-paced rescue attempt that exposes a deadly human trafficking ring. This series will appeal to you if you like superheroes, obscure history, Greek mythology, Nephilim, conspiracy theories, religious lore, and movies like Taken. This Kickstarter is for all 5 issues of the first arc and is to cover the print run for issue number.
All right, what do you got?
Too many keywords, man. You lost me. And also, I don't feel like he should have put superheroes as a keyword. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like when you're writing a superhero story, you shouldn't focus on the fact that it's a superhero story and focus on the fact that's what's interesting about it. And also, I don't think Nephilim should have been a keyword in there. I don't know what Nephilim is. I feel like it might not. I mean, like, yeah, I don't know what Nephilim is. I feel like it might not be a general audience type of word. And I feel like it might be a specific lore word in his book. This reminds me of a conversation I had with a creator who had all these names and places in his summary blurb on the that he wanted to put on the back of his book. And I was like, look, those words don't mean anything to me because I haven't read your book yet. So all you're doing is confusing the reader. I think this isn't that bad because it's really only Nephilim in there, but I feel like it alludes to that type of dynamic.
Well, I do know Luke because obviously he's been on the show and he's a great creator. Nephilim, if I'm not mistaken, and I've heard this enough, I should get this right. I really hope I do. Nephilim is not like demigods. A Nephilim's like a demigod. Like you would, like Hercules wasn't a god outright. He was kind of like a demigod, but it has more to do with being closer to what we would think a mutant is versus an actual god.
Okay, so why didn't he use the word demigod or mutant or something like that?
Because I think demigod's actually different than you'd have to ask him because this is not my realm. But I believe there's a difference between demigod and Nephilim, and I'll ask him. But what did you think of that voice actor?
I think when you told me voice actor, I had too high of expectations when you said the word. But well, it's because he's not really acting. He's doing what needs to be done. Exactly what needs to be done for a Kickstarter. So I think he did a good job. But I'm wondering why the creator wasn't that voice.
And if you didn't notice it, Connor, that was actually my voice.
Oh.
Did you ever watch?
Shit.
Did you ever watch the Transformers film?
What?
The cartoon. You ever watch the Transformers cartoon film? There's that point where he's like Cybertron 2020, and that's what I like. Kind of mimicked it. The reason he did it, and it's because
I thought you were gonna go for. I thought the voice when you said voice actor, it was gonna be like in a world where Nephilim is a word used by everyone. You know what I mean? I thought it was gonna be like
cool though. That would be like that line.
So like what I saw there was that it was narration of information in the exact way it should be on Kickstarter, but I feel like it should be done by the creator.
Well, he does show up at the end of it because I did encourage him to actually show up at the end of it.
Oh, rock on, yeah. And also the idea of him putting already printed books on his table and videotaping them is so good.
Yeah, it shows that he's done it.
Yeah, it shows that he's done it, and it shows that that it's super low risk.
Yeah,
of a Kickstarter. Right. And it's also something that I feel like doesn't happen that much, especially as someone who's Kickstarted books that I've already had printed. I never thought of doing that.
Yeah, let me tell you, man, that it does help. I've seen it. Like when I did the beginning of the year, they had that Make 100, and I was using some older books involved with the 100, showing them. They sold like that. I wish I had more books. I was like, oh wow, yeah. It does work.
But yeah, I wasn't trying to rag on your voice acting. It was just when I heard voice actor, I expected a movie trailer.
I'm trying to get paid, Connor. This is the beginning of my career.
I was like, if you would have said he hired a narrator, that would have been exactly what I was expecting.
I gotta remember that narrator versus voice actor.
Because like, it's not bad. It's not bad acting at all. It's just when you said voice acting, I was expecting a super sensationalized like voice that is like. I expected a voice that's in the story. You know what I mean?
Oh,
instead of a voice describing the story.
And playing the character. I got you. Sarah says to me, a Nephilim is a mix between an angel and a human. That's what I was missing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so now we got it right. Thank you, Sarah. And she said, I recognized your voice. I used to watch the Transformers in the 1980s. And it's funny because I did it with my normal voice. I did it with the announcer's voice. And then I did it with the Transformer one, and I sent them the video of me recording it, and he was like, I really liked it because we were doing it live while we were doing it. Yeah. So I sent them all three, and I didn't know which one he was going to pick, but while we were doing it, he's like, I really like the Transformers one. And it's like, my son's been watching it, so I'll go around the house and I'm like, Jax, it's time to take a bath. You know, like I'll do that voice, and he just looks at me like, he's already embarrassed by me, Connor, and he's only 5. I have an uphill battle. This is Starlight, issue number 1, Ex-Child Superheroes, Now Troubled Teens. It's like TMZ.
See, he put superheroes in there, but they're child superheroes. They're former child superheroes. That right there is interesting.
Cool.
You know what I mean? He put superhero in there, but he put a qualifier that makes it interesting.
Gotcha. Okay, well, let's check it out. Here we go.
You remember the Ultra Kids, that high-flying superpower duo of Mighty Boy and the Melter. Remember their kids' superhero adventures? Well, of course not. There was never any such thing. We just made that up. Remember the real kid superhero teams? You ever wonder what happened to them when they started to get older? What would happen to them when they got to like puberty, when they became teenagers? Did they become teen superheroes? Did they go on to become adult superheroes? Probably not. Probably. Using our socio-cultural imagination, they probably wound up like most child stars, pill-popping, angst-ridden, semi-suicidal nut jobs with a good chance of being between 18 and 25 and doing 25 to 30. Talk about I'm supposed to talk about Starlight. Starlight is a 7-issue comic created by artist Brett Weldell of Surrogates and One Fall fame, Greg Smith of Junior Braves of the Apocalypse fame, and former child star Travis Webb. unless you count tap dancing in a tutu on Starlit Stairway on KXLY TV Channel 4, Spokane, Washington, when he was barely a toddler. Travis Webb was never a child star. Keep reading on. Starlight is a 7-issue comic that explores what happens when you grow up with superheroes and then have to face.
All right, what do you got?
Well, that joke really was funny, but I feel like it took too long and took away from the focus of the story. I think the narrator is I'm getting like a really cool, like more cynical Stan Lee vibe from it, which is cool. But it sounds like he's jumping between what I was expecting from the other video and what was actually there. So when I was expecting a character and got a narrator, he's like jumping between them, and it's just like I'm wondering, is this guy a character in the book or is he one of the creators, like ragging on his buddies? I'm not sure. Like I think it's a little too long, but I think they showed the premise really well.
And we found out later, when the first time we watched, a lot of people had trouble with that instant kid star thing. A lot of people felt like they'd seen it already. So we found out later this is more of an anthology. It's different creators coming together, which I think is a missed opportunity that they're not really pushing hard on that.
It's an anthology?
Of sorts, because it brings together different characters from different realms into a Starlight book. It's kind of weird. Like we were trying.
I was gonna say they really should have like shown that more, but at the same time, there's certain things that I don't show on my stuff because it's just too complicated to explain, and people will get it when they actually read it. Kind of like how like it's kind of like how like in how do I explain this? In Grimmer Crossing Omnibus, I had a kind of like it was a collection of short stories, but they were connected by a frame story that made a whole issue. Right? So it was kind of like a collection of short stories, but it all told an overall narrative together with a frame story. And in the Kickstarter, I didn't like these were just like extras in the back. This little issue was an extra in the back of the book. So on Kickstarter, like I didn't really say that. I just said there was a collection of short stories because it's easier for people to understand that. And then when they get to it, they won't feel cheated because it is a collection of short stories, but they might even be surprised that it's actually an overall larger narrative. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I muted myself because my dog's whining in the background. I said, that makes sense. I definitely get that. And one of the things that we want to look at is another alumni from the Advocator, Frank Martin's Modern Godhood. He was actually, yeah, you guys were in the same book together. The January issue, right?
Was that issue in January? I'm not sure.
The winter one. I'm almost certain you were in winter.
I was in winter, yeah.
Yeah, so you two were together in winter with this one. So he's actually not only a fellow alumni, but fellow.
He didn't put in modern Godhood story, right?
No, he put in Modern Testament.
Okay, I remember that.
Yeah, so check it out. They actually crossroads here on this. So here we go. I got bigger than I expected it. It's like the TARDIS. Here we go.
Hey everyone, I'm Frank Martin, writer and creator of Modern Testament.
And I'm Braden Cox, the writer and creator of Reclaiming Godhood.
Both of our series have a lot in common. They were both our first books and originally came out at the same time with the same publisher, but the similarities go deeper than that.
Although they focus on different ancient mythologies, Modern Testament and Reclaiming Godhood are about bringing those mythologies into a modern society and seeing how those universal themes are still relevant today.
Reclaiming Godhood focuses on the Roman god Jupiter as he seeks to answer prayers and protect humanity in the modern world. Modern Testament does the same with biblical mythology as it strives to reinvent ancient beings for a new age.
Combining the two ideas was seamless, as Jupiter faces a trio of new and different threats in the form of biblical beings such as Lilith, the revelations of the beast, and of course the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Pause.
All right, what do you got?
I actually think this video is really good so far. It's exactly what a Kickstarter video needs to be. Again, kind of a long intro because I like to start my videos with "Hi, I'm Connor Bartel, and this is what I'm making." But again, the intro did grab me, so it's not bad. I really like that it's just him sitting in his bedroom, and I really like that the other guy is just like a crappy little selfie camera because it really shows that they're like grassroots creators. But one thing I think that they should focus on and change a little bit is that I don't know much about the Modern Testament audience, and I don't know much about the other books audience either. But I have a feeling that they're going to be getting a really big chunk of backers that never read either and are there for this book. So I think it is important to say, yes, here is this book, here's this book, and this is a crossover of those two. But I think they're focusing more on what the other books were than what this book is.
That makes sense.
Because they're talking a lot about these other books that are already out that you could already get somewhere else. I think they should just say, here's this book, here's a 1 minute blurb, here's this book, or 1 sentence blurb, here's this book, here's a 1 sentence blurb, and the rest of the video is about how this concept capitalizes on the crossover.
I can respect that. I could definitely get down with that.
I do think it's a fantastic video, though. It's exactly what needs to be done. I do think it's a little long, but I think my other feedback would fix that by cutting out some of the words about the other books.
All right, very cool, very cool. Speaking of very cool, check out Super Cats Halloween by Caleb Thrust.
This looks great.
Hi, I'm Caleb Toussaint. I'm the writer and creator of
I always call him Thrust too.
This is a really fun children's picture book and comic book with artwork by Angela Odling of the fantastic webtoon series Detached. This is a story about relying on your friends when things are rough and never.
What do you got?
So far, I think it's great. Again, I see it's 3 minutes though. It's a little long, but so far I think it's great. But my brother, he's a rapper, and one of the things he told me is that you can always tell the difference between a rapper that has memorized his lyrics versus a rapper that's reading it off his phone in the booth. And I feel like Caleb is winging it here, and he should have memorized what he had to say so that he can come out with it with extreme confidence.
I can actually see, I know exactly what you're saying because before I do anything, I read it 10 times, unless I'm live on air. Like you'll hear me stumble when I'm live on air because I'm reading something brand new. But like you said, like that Kickstarter voiceover, the narration I did for Luke.
Exactly. You were very confident.
I spent an evening reading it. So and I even changed words to make sure it flowed right because I had to be able to read it and I knew where I was struggling. So I do agree with you. He should have had it just ready to go, even if he had to put 5 videos together.
Yeah. And I think with this day and age of YouTube creators doing jump cuts all the time, I totally think that's a great way to make a video too. He could have just just edit smaller things together. That's how I started doing my videos. I would write what I need to. I would write down everything I need and memorize it and take it 1 sentence at a time. And if I mess up, just go back 1 sentence and re-say it and do it all in one take and then jump cut it, edit it together. And it gives it like this YouTuber feel, which also feels more personal than if you would have got like a professional editor.
And I definitely understand you on that.
I think it's great though. And so far the book looks fantastic.
And Sarah was completely with you. She was actually writing as you were saying that. You can tell the guy with the beard is reading by the way he sounds and seeing his eyes go back and forth. So that actually took Sarah out of the ability to enjoy it.
Yeah, you have to be more confident. And the only way to really do that is to actually be confident that you know what you're about to say. It's the same thing when writing. You want to write an outline and so that you always know what you're writing towards, and therefore you're not stumbling and going hum and ha. It's the same thing. Write an outline of your narration so you always know what you're going to say next.
And we actually had to while we were talking, for some reason it didn't update. There were a few Kickstarters missing, so we're just going to go back to cover the ones that we missed. We're not going to watch anything over. It won't be repeated, but we missed Jack Irons, and I noticed it, so I fixed it in the background. This is Jack Irons. It's got 3 days left. It is on Indiegogo now. Check it out.
Intro's too long.
All right.
Oh no! Press play. I want to see the rest.
Okay.
All right, yeah, pause it.
All right, talk to us about it.
I am interested in this book and I want it, but I do not want it on Indiegogo. I will get it on Amazon when it's done because I'm not feeling connected to the creator.
Oh, okay. And that's important to you, of course, because it's a crowdfunding thing.
It's important to Kickstarter. If the reason why things aren't so, the reason why it's not as important elsewhere is because someone is just buying something you already made. You're a seller, they're a buyer, whatever. But when someone's like pledging money to you before the book is even done without a guarantee that it's gonna get done, like they need to be invested in more than just the book. Because here's the thing. The chances of you making a book that they want more than Saga or The Walking Dead is pretty small until they read it and find out they like it better. So you need to give them something else to attach to besides just the book.
And that makes sense. And this is brand new to the program. David Dube has with us Dusk vs. Cheerleaders. And I got to see this while they were producing the Kickstarter. I kind of dig the art. I want to hear what you have to say, Connor. So let's play this video. I hate when they start the videos like this. I can never tell if it's playing or not.
Well, not only that, but it's a little bit cheesy. I mean, all audiences, this is Kickstarter. Come on, man.
It's true. It's actually the first time I'm seeing it, so we're seeing it together for the first time.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, children of the interwebs out there. I'm here to chat with you a bit about an effort to revamp and revitalize cheerleader karate school and how you can help with that. Now, I've partnered with David Dalby, Denton, Texas-based, hardworking, self-published creator, to have my leading ladies cross over with the flagship character from his series of comic books and novels, Dusk. Now, the characters meet in an adventure that sees them tackle some supernatural shenanigans brought forth by a young girl who has been suffering at the hands of an abusive boyfriend. It's a great story with great art that just needs a little bit of a push to help it over the finish line to be published both digitally and a short print run. Now, if you don't know, Cheerleader Karate School is a story of 5 cheerleaders who use martial arts and special abilities to fight supernatural threats to our world. Perky Chicken and Roundhouse Kicks. I fancied it a blend of Supernatural, Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, and Pretty Cure. It's meant to have fun characters, over-the-top battles, and some deliciously evil creatures. Well, some years ago, we made an attempt at a live-action proof of concept for CKS, and it was just okay. But it was not CKS as it was originally intended. Now, with this crossover, we're getting back to the roots, to the comics. We're not having to worry about budgets and actors' schedules or them decommitting mid-production. We're getting back to CKS as it is truly meant to be seen, and I, for one, am excited for that and for what's to come in their own series that I'm developing for their book.
Now, before you say anything, I want to ask, does it feel like he's angry about what happened in his film?
Yeah, that's one of the things I was gonna say. Never, I mean, it's striking a line. It's a subtle line between like disappointed in how it turned out or being honest of his own limitations. I'm not quite sure, but it definitely strikes me as a little odd. What I was gonna say though is that he clearly memorized this and he's doing good. I really like the narration overall. I think he's just too fast though. Being fat or like trying to show 100 points of information in a 4-minute video, yeah, that video is too long. But trying to show 100 points of information in a 2-minute video, it might not be too long, but it's too much information. He's like, and also another thing is he's talking all about CKS, Cheerleader Karate School. I haven't heard much about Dusk to the point that I forgot or didn't even know it was a crossover until he said the word crossover.
I will say this though, he looks really big and like he could kick my ass, so I'm not going to say another word.
Oh no, I think his enthusiasm is great. I think his narration was great. I loved the feel of the video. It's just the creator up there talking about what he's passionate about. I feel like that is important. Overall, it's a great video. I think he's just a little bit too fast, and he needs to focus on Dusk a little bit too, because I don't know what Dusk is.
Ooh, we actually have a video. Okay, so they had said that they were going to put up a video. So here's the video. Oh no, there it is.
Oh, hold on, and one more thing. How did he not put a Buffy the Vampire Slayer comparison in there?
That's true. That is, maybe they're trying to avoid it because that felt like they were trying to avoid it, right? They didn't want to.
Why?
That.
Why?
Some people look down on it. Look, I would embrace anything my book is close to. I even use 50 Shades of Grey, and I hate that book. And I always say, my book's like 50 Shades of Grey if an adult wrote it. So you have to use what's obvious, you know?
That's great, though. That's a great logline.
Thank you. But yeah, so Story of the Shadow Breed, still, we don't have anything to show you. The video is still messed up. I have told them I don't know what happened, but it is what it is. So we're gonna move on.
That makes me scared about Indiegogo that your video can just be unavailable.
Yeah, and I tried to track it back down to YouTube, and I told the creator, and they said they were looking into it. I don't know what happened. They probably used copyrighted something, and it's probably having a problem translating. And that's a real thing, kids. They really cracked down on that since 2018, when this show itself ran into so many problems with it. But now they take those videos down right away or mute the entire video. Okay.
I need people to hear this. You can go online and find all kinds of free instrumentals, but if you want something that's just for you, there are websites where you can buy like 5 beats for $30, right? Insanebeats.com. I went there, I bought 5 beats for $30. I still have 1 left. I might use it for my next Kickstarter, but there you go, $30, and I had 5 songs that no one else is allowed to use, and it's only for me.
Let me ask you a question, though. Okay, I run this show. If I play your video on my show, do I get in trouble now?
I have the rights to those beats because I bought the rights. So unless I...
Oh, so you own it. You own the beats now. Got you. So you'd have to file against me.
Yeah, there's so many people out there that sit there and they make beats all fucking day and they're giving away exclusive rights for like $30. It's really not that much. And I know $30 can be a lot for people, especially in this Corona times, but then go find a free beat.
Do me a favor, pass me that at the end of this. I'll put it out and we'll advertise it. That's actually a fantastic idea. Because then you could own it and that no one could say anything to you ever again. And if you're doing a long series, you could use that same beat to go across the entire thing.
Yeah, my brother made when he first started rapping, he made this song that I thought like the beat fit Grimwood like really well, and I asked him to like write new lyrics over it to fit Grimwood. And then I went and just bought that beat because he was using it for free. But like if you're not selling it, it's okay. But he went and bought that beat. And or I went and bought that beat after he was already using it, and luckily no one had bought it. It was still a free license at the time, and now I have a Grimwood Crossing theme song for like $30.
That's so cool. Sarah came back. She had a little trouble with the video. She said on that last video we watched, the guy looked like he had a horrible green screen. Did that bother you? The fact that it looks so black behind him and out of place?
It didn't bother me. I totally agree with what she's saying, but the reason why it didn't bother me is because I feel like low production value has its own advantage in a Kickstarter video. Oh. Like if you go out there and put like $10,000 into a video, like why is someone gonna want to give you $10,000 for a comic when you could have put it into that, when you could have used it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
starter goal is $11,000. 10 of it's for the video.
but what she said is true. It didn't bother me because it's low production value, but at the same time, if it's gonna be even kind of distracting, why does he need the green screen?
Good point.
Like I would much rather see your book collection behind you or your desk behind you or your living room behind you than a black screen.
Very good points. But let's see if we can help out our friend Frank James Bailey by checking out his first Kickstarter. This is Terracona, I think. I've never actually heard him say it, so I'm guessing. Brumise. We're going to find out now as he hopefully tells us. First time I'm seeing this, so this is like a world premiere for me.
This is Terracona.
Yeah.
Did you say pause?
I really don't like the over sensationalized voice.
Gotcha. Do you want to keep playing it, or are you done?
Yeah. I didn't give it a
How you doing? I am Frank James Bailey, voice actor, writer, and the creator of this superhero right here, Turkana. Now, just so you know, I'm not a voice actor of cartoons or animation. I mostly do radio and TV commercials, podcast openings, and internet videos. But I do have some audio production skills, which is how I was able to make that mediocre intro that you just saw. Anyhow, Turkana started off as 3 illustrated novels. Turkana Book 1, Our New Home, Turkana Book 2, Dr. Kuna Bananagun, and Turkana Book 3, Trinity's Traps. You can find those books on Amazon.com or on
Wait, does he mean illustrated novels as in like light novels where they're prose with some illustrations there, or is he just using a fancy word for comics?
You know, that's a good question. Let's see if he answers it.
Because illustrated novel is a thing that's not comics.
Yeah, they do it with DC, like Batman books and stuff. And I've kind of, some of the books I've made have been kind of on the edge of that. But because one of my first books, we did 1 page of story, 1 page of art, but that was too much art for an actual illustrated novel, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah.
Usually there's,
if you have a 300-page novel and half of it is art.
Yeah, so let's see.
Not about the novels. I'm just showing you that the world has already been created by those novels. This Kickstarter is about comic books, and more specifically, the funding for comic book number 3.
This isn't anything against him, but I'm already not into that. Like, I'm not looking for an adapt. If I'm going for an indie comic, I'm not looking for an adaptation of something I've never heard.
So you don't want to read the first 3 novels just to get into a comic, you're saying?
No, and even if like you don't have to get into it, I still don't want to because it's like, okay, so the story was originally supposed to be something that's not a comic, so why is it a comic now? And I get that adaptation is a thing for other things, but when I'm excited about an adaptation, it's because I'm already a fan of the property.
Yeah, and I could see that. I don't know if I feel exactly the same way, but you know,
it's a subjective opinion for sure, and it's definitely not something I'm so strong that I have to like disagree with someone who But what I'm wondering is so is he writing these because he didn't like how the novels turned out, or is he writing these because he thinks the novels are going to sell easier, or the Kickstarter or the comics are going to sell easier than novels? Either way, that just doesn't seem like a good reason to make a comic, and I'm not getting the sense that he's here to make a comic.
Oh no, he is. I know him personally, but that's an important distinction, because you haven't been sold that he's doing this because he's passionate. You're kind of feeling, and this does happen. I do have to stress, Connor's hitting on a head on a nail here. There are a lot of novelists who suddenly came to comics to try to make a comic out of their novel, not realizing the two are not at all interchangeable. You have to rewrite to make it a comic book. There's a big difference between our scripts. And you know what? I'm a little interested because I do like to kind of see that, but I would never read 3 novels to get into a comic book. I know someone who actually did that, and you had to read the 3 novels to make the comic book make sense. So his whole pitch was, and I'm not saying this is Frank, I stress this, I'm just saying as a conversation, you would have to buy the 3 novels and his comic book all at once to understand it. So for him, he sold his back 3 novels that never sold, what Connor's alluding to. Did you do it just to push your novels? So I don't think Frank did that in this case, but it's an important thing, and he should have kind of mentioned that. Hey, I fell in love with comic books. This is why I'm doing a comic book. I did the novels, and I just wanted to bring it to life in comic book form. Those are all things. And I might actually reach out and tell him to watch this video, because that's a good point. You want to see that passion, because I know Frank to be a very passionate creator. So I
also just have bad experiences with novels that have been turned into comics.
There are a lot of bad ones.
The Game of Thrones comics, I just don't think, like, what was the point of them? And then at the same time, my favorite novel of all time, is The Way of the Shadows by Brent Weeks. And they made a comic. And while I love that comic to death, I don't think anyone that hasn't read the book would fully understand what's happening in the comic.
Oh, that's horrible. And that's like when they do the TV shows to comic book. The only comic book that honestly was great when they brought it from the television screen to a comic book was Batman Adventures. And they just brought that back. So I was so happy. But again, you had the same writers from the cartoon onto that. And they kind of studied how to translate it. And they were supervising the other writers. So I think that, like you said, there has to be an ability for the two to be the same energy. And if
Yeah, like or the Buffy comics and the Angel comics, those were written by comic book creators, and they weren't adaptations. They were, here's the new stories we want to tell, and we're telling them as a comic book.
yeah, Josh was part of that, right? Josh Whedon was actually part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember that actually, because he did Firefly, and I love Firefly.
I know I need to check out Firefly because I love the like season whatever of Angel and season whatever of Buffy, where they just continue the show with the comics.
Yeah, I want to get the graphic novel. I heard it finally got made into a graphic novel last year. I just haven't had the disposable income to invest in it yet. But when I do, I actually will get it. So this is
who is this? Who created Terra Olympus?
This is right now. I have him down as Sean Keenan.
Sean Keenan. That's why it sounds familiar.
Yeah. Okay. So have you seen this video?
No, I've heard of the word Terra Olympus, and I know it's now because I have Sean Keenan on Facebook and I follow him. That's a really good title because I saw it immediately and was like, I've seen that somewhere.
That's true. Right away, you knew it. All right, very cool. So let's check it out. Let's see what it's about. There we go.
Can you go back a couple seconds? All right, just real quick, pause it. I want to finish this, but pause it. I feel like this is something that every comic book letterer or anyone working with a comic book font needs to know. Even on fonts, whether it's all capitals, even if it's a font that doesn't have a lowercase, if the letter I is in the middle of a word, it should not be a capital I. Like here, I know it's hard to tell, but this is actually like lettering. This is actually a really important part of lettering. You see the I in I'm?
Yeah.
Okay. Now continue forward in the I in Mia. Now continue forward just a little bit, because he fixes this problem later. Okay. Well, never. Oh yeah. Pause it. You see the I in into?
Yeah.
Yeah. So unless the word starts with the letter I, or you're using I as an I'm, as in a possessive, that I needs to be what into is.
So
like, unless it's the start of a sentence, or you're talking about you as an I, even if it's an all lowercase font, you need to put the straight line I instead of the cross I.
Now, how do you think they did this? Did they use a lowercase?
So on uppercase and lowercase fonts, yes, no matter what you do, it's going to be uppercase, even if you type lowercase or uppercase, but that's not the case for I. These fonts always have an uppercase and a lowercase I in them, even if it's an all uppercase font.
So this was most likely done with caps locks on.
Yeah. And the reason why I felt like saying something is because one, it's kind of like something that not a lot of people know, but it is important.
Yeah.
And to give you an example of how it's important, my second point was I thought that said I'm senior engineer MIA.
Yes. Yeah.
I thought it said I'm a senior engineer and I'm missing in action. And I was like, is that a typo? No, Mia is a name, and I didn't get it at first.
And I actually didn't know what you were talking about, because there are some fonts I've used in the past that do have a difference between it, and you have to watch to make sure you're not on caps. Because if you're on caps, it'll screw up how it looks.
Yeah, on Grimwood Crossing, in like issues like 1 or 2 or maybe 3, you'll find a couple of these mistakes for me. But I was learning as I go, and then when you go to issue 4, 5, and 6 or 7, you won't see that mistake again.
Sweet. Well, we learned something. Thank you for actually sharing that. I never
It's
thought
really important
about that. Very cool. And now I think engineer is spelled wrong, so I can't spell.
I think that's spelled right.
Yeah, no, but it's my dyslexics. Now I'm looking too hard, so everything will be wrong. All right, so we're going to continue watching the video from here. Although I will say there is a problem here. They didn't look at their frame. They're going to lose a lot here if people have this play bar going.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get rid of it. There we go.
I wish there was more talking and less reading.
Yeah, we can just mute this because they're not talking and talk through it. There we go. Yeah, I don't like to read in a video. It's too distracting.
Especially with these amazing animations.
The art's fantastic.
And the keyframing on these animations is really good. I wish I could like focus on them more.
They should have also probably used a border on the lettering.
A what? Oh, a stroke on them? Yeah.
Yeah, stroke. Yeah, stroke.
Oh, here's another little piece of advice for everyone. And I learned this from my middle school days of making memes. White text with a black border is readable on absolutely anything unless it's just a bunch of black and white blobs.
Yeah, it's true.
So if you don't know what to do and you're not too worried about making it look the most visually appealing, white with black stroke will always work. Almost always.
Look at that. The animation is rather good, though.
Yeah. As someone who's done this type of animation for my comic, this is better than mine.
Yeah, I wish there was some narration, to be honest with you, because I don't know.
But the comic looks so good.
Well, this is definitely something I think both of me and you will check out now.
Yeah, like that's how good the animation was. That's how good the comic looks. Like, yeah, there's flaws in the video, but I still want to check it out. And I actually think I may have backed the first Terra Olympus book, but I did it digitally and I forgot. So I should probably check my email and see if I have that copy in there.
Yeah, it happens a lot. Whoop. Jack just came in to get some milk. We're going to go on to our next video. This is Elysian Fields. I don't think that Elysian Fields. I don't think they had a video. We'll see if they added one. Nope. And again, this is just a loss now because all we're going to do is look at it for a second. And we're going to move.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So, can someone tell me, like, as a comic book creator, as a Kickstarter creator, and as a comic book reader, can someone tell me what I understand in some situation, in issue 0 might be interesting, but in what situation would someone want to start their series with an issue 0?
For me, an issue 0 represents it's not an actual series. This is it's a throwaway, not a throwaway, but not a necessity for a series. So this gives you usually back information or a preview.
So why make it? Why make a Kickstarter for that type of thing?
Actually, I don't agree with you.
But why wouldn't you want to start with the essentials and then give the non-essentials if people want them?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I don't even, to be honest with you, I don't think indie comics should be using numbers. I think they should be using chapter headings.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that, because that's what I just started doing instead. I did issues 4, 5, and 6 for Grimwood, and that was like super serialized. Like, you can't just pick up an issue and start in the middle and know what's going on. Like, you have to start from 1. But my new series right now is Swords and Silence, or Swords and Sorrows, Swords and Silence, and then Swords and Solace.
Cool, I like that, and I think that just works better. I kind of stumbled onto it, and I really like it. I actually like because my original book was made to be a novel and a comic book at the same time, but the novel would have been released too quickly and given too much information, so I just went pure comic. Because like you said, it would feel like you're trying to do something on purpose. And I always said I might release the novel down the road when I'm done with the comic book series, and it might just give slightly more information. But I didn't want it to compete with the comic book.
I will say there is one situation where I know someone did an issue 0 and I understood why they did. Chuck Pinu, he did Welcome to the Void, or he helped with Welcome to the Void with Sean Barber, and man, I don't remember the other person that's on there. I'm sorry, but they wrote their story and then they made the comic, and then they realized like there might be like another direction they wanted to take the story, and so they rebranded their comic as an issue 0.
That makes sense. I can see.
And yeah, and I actually thought like for the fact that they, you know, found out that they wanted to go a different direction instead of just scrapping it, I'm happy that they I think that's a good idea. I think that was an interesting idea.
I actually dig that. And speaking of things I dig, remember, I dig you all giving $1 to everything. It shows support, attracts attention, help funds projects, supports creators, and creates new worlds. Speaking of creating new worlds, get the Kickstarter for the independent creator on Amazon today. Remember, we were talking about Madeline? She wrote it, and Christy Shin illustrated it. Great book. Changed the way I look at Kickstarters. It will for you, too. Coming to
Does Madeline have any Kickstarters I can check out?
Oh, yeah. Boston Metaphysical Society. I think she's up to 14 Kickstarters. I'll send you her link.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see like, yeah, because if I'm gonna read her book, I'd love to see how specifically how she incorporated this knowledge.
Yeah, you'll be amazed by the Kickstarter she has ran. Coming
really exciting
tomorrow. Close Reality. Open the next driver light. I think light. This is actually very hard to read. Can you make that out, Connor?
Close Reality, TXEN. Open the next.
But this right down here, I don't think this is good lettering right here.
The driver 8.
Oh, is it 8?
Yeah, it looks like light, but I think it's 8.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. See,
that's not good logo creation. I'm actually a freelance graphic designer. I can kind of go deep dive into why that's bad logo creation.
But maybe it has something to do with the story. I don't know. Maybe there's a direct tie-in because obviously they're trying to be coy with the open the next. I just know for me, I would have seen light and thought the L was stupid.
Well, I mean,
yeah, the E's here. I got you.
No matter what your story is, there is a good way. There is a good logo for it that also works. Even if your story is about a bad graphic designer, you can make a bad logo look good. You know what I mean? Like, something that's wrong with this is that they chose a font where every letter is a different width. And when you choose a font like that, you have to have some kerning. You have to have some distance between the letters. If you're trying to make a font where the letters touch each other and kind of connect, they should have it should be a font that has the same width. That way, it's still easy to read.
And that makes sense, actually. And I do.
Because otherwise, without spaces, you're skipping over letters, and you're not reading them right. And you don't need spaces you don't need spaces as much. You won't skip over letters if every letter is the same width. You know.
I got you. That makes actually a lot of sense. And we have a couple comments that I'm going to get to in a minute because one of them was about what we were just watching. But I do want to check out everything that's going to be in previews for indie creators next month. Oh, yeah, that's right. Diamond gave up on us. Never mind. Let's move on to our last Kickstarter for the night. I got this as it went live as we were coming in. This is Into the Suck. I don't have a actual video for you guys, but this is, for those who don't know, this was actually in my crossover in the Advocator. We actually had this, my character actually dress up as this amazing character. And
fantastic logo.
Yeah, right. Everything about this book is beautiful. CB Zane, my good friend Keith Thomas, who passed away sadly due to stomach cancer. This is his ongoing legacy. I say this every time it's on the show. I would consider it a personal favor for you guys to actually back this, and there are definitely some risky covers to be involved with it. And there's that. Look. I get the Steph Wilson art here is popular. I'm not a fan of it, but it is there. So if you're a fan of that, we'll have that. And I definitely ask you guys to check this out. My friend who's not with us anymore, super passionate guy. I miss him. I still think about him, and I would consider it an actual favor if you guys backed this or at least shared it today.
This has been popping up on my Kickstarter notifications all morning, this one. So I've
Sean,
already had
are you Australian?
I am, mate. I am. So
this is the first time I've ever heard your voice. You're blowing my mind.
I saw him in the chat room, and I was like, why am I even going to read his letters? Let's bring him in. Let's talk about it, because he wanted to talk about his numbering. And Connor, you were curious about it. So go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, my issue XCT, I started off with issue 0, and I really wish that I hadn't done that. It's just muddled up the whole series and everything like that. Because like everyone's like, oh, how many issues do you have? I'm like, oh, I've got 5, and they're like, oh, but I've only got up to 4, and I'm like, yeah, because I started at 0. So it's like, I wish I hadn't done it, especially because I went back and wrote 0 after we'd already done 1, but I hadn't released 1 yet, so I could have just made 1 2 and made 0 1. So I wish I had done that type of thing. So, but once we move to the graphic novel format, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. But it was a silly mistake, but something that I've learnt and haven't repeated with my other series.
And of course, tell them who you are, Sean. They might not even realize who we're talking to right now.
Well, hey guys, my name's Sean Keenan. I run the publishing company Comics to Movies from Australia. So we've got the #1 indie comic series in Australia called the Extreme Champion Tournament. So we've got 5 single issues, a graphic novel, and an anthology out in that series. We've got a second sci-fi series that's called Terra Olympus. Volume 2 is up on Kickstarter at the moment. We're $50 off, hitting about the $6,000 mark. And then I've got a third series coming out later this year called Tellus of Sparta, which is a Spartan alternate history series. So I'm very excited about that one. So, yeah.
So now you're here, Connor. Go ahead, ask him. You're the guest. Ask Sean anything you want about the video.
Oh, I mean, the artwork is so good, and I've done that type of animation before, but this turned out so much better. Did you do that?
No, man, I cannot draw to save my life or animate. My co-creator Stephen K, he got someone to do it. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, which I'm absolutely horrible at. But he's done our last 2 videos that we've done for Kickstarter, but he seems to be upping his game, and he's considerably gotten better each time type of thing. But Stephen's really good in regards to saying exactly what he wants kind of animated, where he wants the angles to go, and then the guy that does it is fantastic in being able to bring that out type of thing. Once it's animated, Stephen does all of the music and everything to and sound effects to kind of tee up with this. So yeah.
Well, Sean, I would love to hear your beautiful voice in that video.
I tell you what, Stephen hates being on camera, and so he leaves all the talking and all these type of things to me. But I don't know. I hate hearing my own voice, so it's nice to know that someone actually likes the sound of my voice. But
Sean,
yeah,
in our chat room, the sexy vixen Sarah said that you have a nice accent, so you got to be on it. You got to remember, for us Americans, it's like I have a New York accent. And
sorry, that spotted out for me. I didn't hear. Oh, we lost him. Oh, we lost everyone.
Sean, can you hear me?
Yeah. So yeah.
I guess the internet just had its moment. I said the sexy vixen Sarah said that you have a nice accent. Remember, us Americans, we don't hear your accent. Like when I have a New York accent, when I go to a different state, and I live in Florida, they're like, "You're from New York." People just like different accents. You put me in New York, and I'm just another asshole. Put me down here, and I'm from New York.
Yeah, I guess so. It is interesting that I did a summer camp in America back in 2004, and I've got a few friends from the Maryland and New York area, and one of the girls that I met on summer camp, she was working. She's now in the health field, and one of her friends was like, "Oh, do you know that guy Sean from Australia that does XCT?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't know what XCT is, but I know a Sean from Australia." And she's like, "Oh, I buy his comics and everything like that." And I was like, "How random is that someone that I met like 16 years ago works with someone else that actually reads my comics and everything?" But it's kind of cool. But she again likes the accent, so I did a little video for her birthday and everything. So maybe there is something to this accent. So
I'm telling you, there is. Connor, it would make this whole thing would be so much better with his voice, wouldn't it? We got to start a petition. This whole video would be so much better with that. We need a petition to get Sean to be the voice actor in this. But do you want to tell him about the eyes that you noticed, and I'll call it up on the video?
Yeah, Sean, do you letter your own comics?
No. So I've got a guy called Darren Close. So he's worked on a lot of Australian indie books. So he letters our books for us.
Is he the one that did the letters in this video?
No, that was Stephen.
So is Stephen a letterer?
No.
So something about comic book fonts is that, you know how some fonts are all capitalized and don't have any lowercase? Well, even in those fonts, there are lowercase i's, and there are appropriate times to use them. So when you're starting a sentence with I, or you're using as a possessive like I, I'm, I'll, then you use the capital I. But if it's in the middle of a sentence or in the middle of a word, then you use a lowercase I, even if it's a capital font.
Okay.
And that's a comic book thing. But the reason why it's important here is because this is a comic book font, and I thought it said "I'm Senior Engineer MIA." I thought it was an acronym, and instead of Mia, and that's
instead of Mia. Okay.
Yeah, so like I'm sure your letterer knows about this, but people that don't letter comics and they use comic book fonts, they're not like aware of this little rule, and it makes it harder to read with comic book fonts.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, the ultimate thing is if you're using a font like that, don't hit your caps lock, just in case they have something hidden in that actually changes it. It's the caps.
Oh, sorry, I cut out a little bit there.
Oh no, you're fine. Can you hear us, Connor?
I can kind of hear you.
I think we're having internet stuff because everyone just got home and turned on Netflix.
But yeah, I actually backed Terra Olympus Volume 1, and then I disappeared from the internet right as you were sending those digital copies out, and so I never like checked my inbox for it. So I actually have to read Terra Olympus Volume 1.
If you don't have it, mate, just reach out and I'll resend it again, no problem.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, I remember. I think. Do you remember me? I think we did some cross promotion.
I would love to say that I do, but we do a bit of cross promotion, and
yeah. I don't think I backed it, but I know I did cross promotion with XCT.
Yes.
And I know we did cross promotion with Terra Olympus, so I'm pretty sure it was actually twice.
There we go. So I try and usually do different people and different cross promotions each time that we do a Kickstarter. This time we did one with Tyler from Comics Tribe. He had She up on Kickstarter, and we got a really good return from that cross promotion. So if people don't know, you can use custom tags in Kickstarter. So whenever you're doing a cross promotion, give someone a custom tag so then you can actually see what type of return on investment that you're getting. So if you're backing or pledging someone else's Kickstarter, that custom tag is really great to even monitor the amount of traffic that's coming into your Kickstarter from that cross promotion.
There's an important note on those custom tags, though, that unless they fixed it in the past year, the important note on those custom tags. Okay, so on those custom tags, say someone clicks the custom link and it goes to the Kickstarter, right? And then they back. Yes, it adds a point for that custom link, right? But if they go to if they click the link, go to the Kickstarter, then go to the updates, then go back to the homepage, that tag no longer gets the credit.
Correct.
So it's a little funky. Those aren't 100% accurate. I do have a question about Sean Keenan, are you part of the Comics Tribe class or community?
Yes. So I've done the list launch through the comics launch part. I'm part of the Comics Tribe Facebook group, and I'm part of the comics launch. And last year I also did the master class as well. So I've found it extremely helpful in upping my game. Probably made me step outside my shell a little bit more and do these type of things and jump on when I get the opportunity to do something like this, where I probably wouldn't have done so beforehand. So.
And how much money does a Comics Tribe class cost usually around?
Well, they've got all different steps or stages for your career. So they've got just the email list, which I believe is about 149 or 199. Don't quote me on this exactly, but then you've got the mastermind, which is a monthly fee, and that's a little bit more than that. I think it was around the 300 US. Again, don't quote me on this. It's been a while since I've looked at those things. And then there's the actual comics launch course, which I think was around that $300 mark. So yes, it does seem expensive, and even myself at the time I was like, oh, do I really want to spend that amount of money? But what I got out of it, and one of the things that people always say is you need to put skin in the game to actually get anything out of something. If you're just giving it to you for free, then you really just take that information with a grain of salt. But when you put some skin in the game, when you put some of your own money in there, you seem to get a lot more out of it. And I definitely got a lot out of the few courses that I've done.
I just got reminded because we started talking about classes. New York University is John Warren, a screenwriting professor at New York University, is giving away his screenwriting class for free right now. It's a 5-week course to help with the quarantine. If you guys Google like John Warren NYU class, screenwriting class, I'm sure you'll find it.
I will make sure to send that to me too, Connor, and we'll have it on. We'll put it on OnCon.
Cool. Yeah. I've been having a lot of blast with that. I feel like there's a lot of overlap between screenwriting and comic writing. So.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to say goodbye because I think we are having internet issues, and it's no one's fault. This is just the busiest time of the day now. That's why I try to stay off at 9 o'clock every day, because of the internet issues that we're experiencing here in America. So we're going to go around the room. Connor, tell them where they can find you and how they can get your stuff.
You can find me at Connor_Bartel on Instagram and Twitter. And you could also just Google my name and you'll find my Kickstarter profile page with all my previous campaigns and my new campaign coming up soon. And you'll be able to find links to purchase my books from there.
There we go.
You can find me at www.comics2movies.com.au, which is comics, the number 2 movies. Otherwise, it's Comics to Movies on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, as well as our books. We've got Facebook pages for the Extreme Champion Tournament, which is starts with an X. Extreme Champion Tournament, Terra Olympus, and Tell Us the Sparta. And we've got Terra Olympus Volume 1 and 2 up on Kickstarter now, and you can grab those books. You can grab, we've hit some of our stretch goals, so you'll get XCT for free as well with any pledge on those. And yeah, thanks for having me.
And we want you back as actually someone who plays the actual show, the whole thing through, to come in and as our, judge is the wrong thing, but our guest to do what Connor did today. And I want to thank Connor for his time today. He had some great information for us. He did an amazing job. Hang out, guys. We'll say goodbye behind the scenes. And for now, everybody, this has been a production of the OnCon Network, keeping you entertained during this weird time that we're all stuck in. We appreciate you all tuning in and being part of tonight's show. And this has been another production of Kickstarter PAuse, brought to you by IndieAdvocates.com. I thank the guests tonight and all the people who reached out, and Sarah for some of her great comments this evening. We'll see you next week on Kickstarter PAuse.